I used to think I was lucky to have her in my life. Alicia, the girl everyone adored, the kind of person who lit up any room she walked into. When she smiled, it was impossible not to smile back. And when she chose me to be her closest friend, it felt like a blessing I didn't deserve. At least, that's what I thought in the beginning. She called me her soul sister. We did everything together: study, shop, laugh, cry. She'd text me good morning before even brushing her teeth. Everyone envied our friendship. They didn't know what hid behind that perfect picture. It started with small things. She'd say, "You look better in soft colors. Don't wear dark ones, they don't suit you." I laughed and agreed. She said it so confidently that I never questioned her. But then, she started picking my clothes for me. At first, it felt nice, like she cared. Until one day she said, "I don't like that girl you're hanging out with. She's jealous of you." I stopped talking to that girl. Why wouldn't I? I trusted Alicia. She was my best friend. But slowly, the world around me began to shrink. Every friend, every plan, every decision, filtered through her. If I didn't answer her call right away, she'd text, "So I guess I don't matter anymore?" And if I tried to explain, she'd say, "Forget it, you always make me feel like I'm the problem." I started apologizing for things I didn't even do. That's how she worked. She made me feel guilty for her pain. Still, I stayed. Because when she was nice, she was amazing. When she laughed, it felt like the world was lighter. I didn't see that she only laughed when I was smaller. Then one day, something happened that I still remember like it was yesterday. It was our college farewell. Everyone was dressed up, happy, emotional. I wore my favorite blue dress. She saw me and smiled, that half smile that always made me nervous. "You actually wore that," she said. "Bold choice. Not everyone can pull that off." I didn't know if that was a compliment or an insult. That night, during a fun roast, she went up on stage. She started joking about everyone, the usual harmless fun. And then she said my name. "Mira, my sweet little baby who can't do anything without me telling her how." Everyone laughed. She laughed the loudest. And I stood frozen, smiling like it was funny. But inside, something broke. After that night, I couldn't look at her the same. But she noticed. And she hated it. The next day, she sent me a long message. "How could you be so cold last night?" I was just joking. "Why are you always so sensitive?" I typed, "It hurt," but deleted it. Instead, I wrote, "Sorry, I overreacted." She replied instantly, "It's okay, you know I love you." I believed her again. I always did. Weeks passed, and things only got stranger. She began telling people private things about me. Small things, twisted into stories that made me sound weak. When I confronted her, she gasped, "Someone's lying to you." I'd never say that. And somehow, I ended up apologizing again. That's the power of toxic people. They turn their lies into your guilt. Then, she crossed a line I couldn't ignore. I told her I liked someone, a guy from my class, Ryan. We just started talking, nothing serious. Alicia smiled and said, "Cute. He's not really your type though." 2 weeks later, I saw her with him, laughing, whispering, his arm casually on her shoulder. When I asked about it, she shrugged. "You never said he was yours. I can't stop living my life because you have a crush." And somehow, she made me feel selfish. After that, I tried to distance myself, but she noticed. Every message I ignored, every plan I cancelled, she punished me with silence. The kind that eats you from the inside. Then she'd come back with tears, saying, "You're the only person I can trust. Please don't leave me." And I'd melt again. Until one night, she came over to my place for a sleepover. We watched movies, talked late into the night. When she fell asleep, her phone buzzed. A message popped up from one of our classmates. You really think she doesn't know what you've been saying about her? My blood went cold. What was she saying about me? The next day, after she left, I noticed she'd forgotten her small notebook, her journal. It was half under the blanket. I shouldn't have looked. But something inside me whispered, read it. The first page had my name. Written neatly, underlined twice. Mira is too trusting. Too emotional. Easy to handle. I froze. She needs constant approval. Compliments make her loyal. I kept reading, my hands shaking. Never let her feel too confident. She might drift away. It wasn't friendship. It was manipulation, written like a plan. I slammed the notebook shut. My heart was racing. I wanted to throw up. The girl I thought was my safe place had been studying me like a lab experiment. That night, I didn't answer her calls. She messaged again and again. Are you okay? Why aren't you replying? Mira, I'm scared. Please talk to me. I didn't reply. For the first time, I felt something different. Not guilt. Not fear. Just anger. Cold, shaking anger. But I had no idea what she was about to do next. Because people like her don't let go easily. They don't apologize. They retaliate. And the way she chose to punish me still haunts me today. I didn't sleep that night. Her words kept echoing in my head. Too trusting. Too emotional. Easy to handle. By morning, my hands were still shaking. Every memory of our friendship suddenly felt different. Every smile, every compliment, every "I love you." All of it looked like a move in her game. I told myself I'd confront her. I'd tell her I knew everything. But when I saw her walking toward me that day, smiling like nothing was wrong, my courage disappeared. She hugged me. And in that moment, I froze, because I realized how much of me still wanted her warmth to be real. She pulled back and said, "You look upset. Did someone say something?" Her eyes searched mine, pretending to care. I forced a smile and said, "No, I'm fine." But she didn't believe me. She never did. That night, I sat by my window, staring at her messages. She'd texted, "Good night, my favorite person." I didn't reply. It felt like if I said even one word, she'd crawl back into my head. 2 days passed. Silence between us. Then, out of nowhere, she posted a story. A selfie. Tearful eyes. Captioned, "When the people you love turn out fake." My phone didn't stop buzzing. Friends started asking, "Did you two fight?" I said no, but the whispers began. That's how she punished people. With pity. She made herself the victim before I could even speak. By the end of the week, she told half our class I was jealous of her success. She said I'd been copying her style, her captions, even her art. When I found out, I confronted her. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "I didn't say anything like that. Why would I?" Then she smiled, the kind of smile that cuts deeper than lies. Because I knew she did. But I had no proof. That's how she worked. She fought in shadows, left no fingerprints. The next few weeks felt like walking through fog. People stopped inviting me to plans. Some looked away when I entered a room. Alicia, meanwhile, looked brighter than ever. Louder laughs, bigger crowds, new best friends. One day, I overheard someone whisper, "I heard Myra's been saying weird stuff about Alicia online." My chest tightened. I hadn't posted anything. Then I saw it, a fake account, using my photo, commenting under Alicia's pictures. Ugly things. Cruel words. I confronted her again. She gasped. "Oh my God, who would do that to you?" Her hand touched mine. "Don't worry, I'll help you fix this." But that night, when I checked again, the account had vanished, deleted. And the next morning, everyone acted like I was the one hiding something. She was erasing her tracks faster than I could find them. It was around that time my mom noticed I'd stopped smiling. She asked what was wrong. I said I was fine. But I wasn't. I was scared of being seen as crazy. Because that's what she wanted. She wanted me to doubt my own reality. She'd text me sweet things at 3 a.m. I miss you. Then the next day, she'd walk right past me like I didn't exist. When I asked why, she'd say, "You imagine things too much. You overthink everything." It made me question my own mind. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was the problem. Until one day, something broke again. We were in class. Our professor asked for volunteers for a big art showcase. Before I could raise my hand, Alicia said, "Mira should do it. She needs attention." Everyone laughed. The professor smiled awkwardly. I laughed too, a small, broken sound. But that evening, something in me shifted. I walked to the coordinator's office and signed up anyway. For the first time in months, I made a decision without her. It felt terrifying and freeing. I spent nights working on my painting. It was a piece called Glass Cage, a woman smiling inside a transparent box, while cracks formed around her heart. When Alicia found out, she laughed. "You're really doing that? How cute." I said nothing. The night of the showcase arrived. Crowds, music, lights. It felt like a dream. When my painting was revealed, people clapped. A few even came to ask about its meaning. And then I heard her voice behind me. "So that's how you see yourself? The poor trapped victim." I turned around. She was smiling again. But her eyes were burning. "I'm the cage, right? Say it." I stayed silent. Her jaw clenched. "You're unbelievable." Then she did something I'll never forget. She took out her phone, smiled sweetly, and said, "Let's take one last picture together. For memories." Before I could answer, she snapped it, the flash hitting my face. That picture was on her story within minutes. Captioned, "Some people pretend to be pure. Don't be fooled." It went viral in our circle. Comments poured in, subtle digs, sarcastic emojis, half-truths. By morning, I was the villain in her story again. But this time, I didn't cry. I realized something that night. You can't win against someone who feeds on your reaction. Silence is the only language they can't twist. So I blocked her. Everywhere. Phone, socials, everything. My hands trembled as I did it. But afterward, for the first time in years, my chest felt lighter. Days passed. Then weeks. She tried to reach me, new accounts, fake messages, even mutual friends. But I stayed quiet. Until one evening, a letter came in the mail. No name. Just my address. Inside, a photo. Of me and her. On the back, one line written in her handwriting. "You'll miss me when you're alone again." I dropped it. My hands went cold. I ran to the door. Nobody there. The street outside was empty. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because I realized she was right about one thing. I was alone. But for the first time, that loneliness felt peaceful. No manipulation. No guilt. No drama. Just me, breathing, healing. They say toxic people don't just disappear. They linger. In your habits, your insecurities, your silence. But the moment you stop feeding them your energy, they starve. And when they starve, they fade. She faded too. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. And even though part of me still misses who I thought she was, I know now, she never existed. Only her control did. For a while, silence was my only comfort. I deleted her photos, blocked her number, even changed my routine. I thought cutting her out would be the end of it. But toxic people don't just leave. They linger. It began with whispers again. People looking at me, then turning away. I tried to ignore it, until one day, a girl from my class pulled me aside. Hey, you should probably know. Alicia's been talking about you again. My heart sank. What now? I asked, barely able to breathe. The girl hesitated, then showed me her phone. A screenshot. A chat group. My name written over and over, with lies attached to it. She said you're unstable. That you made things up about her. That you're obsessed. I stared at the screen, numb. Every line, every fake story, carefully written to sound believable. I wanted to scream, to explain, to defend myself. But deep down, I knew the truth. The moment you try to justify yourself to a manipulator, you lose. So I stayed quiet. But silence didn't stop her. The next week, a rumor started that I'd cheated on an exam. A teacher called me in, serious face, holding an anonymous complaint. No one said her name. They didn't have to. Her fingerprints were invisible but everywhere. That night I broke. I sat on my bed, shaking, staring at the wall. My reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger. Tired eyes, dull skin, lifeless voice. Who had I become? For months, I let her words define me. Even without her near me, she was in my head, whispering doubts, replaying guilt. Every compliment felt like a trap. Every new person felt like a test. I thought maybe I deserved it. Maybe she was right. Maybe I really was difficult, dramatic, sensitive. But one night changed everything. It was raining. I was walking home when I saw her. Standing across the street, under an umbrella, staring right at me. For a second, I thought it was my imagination. But then she smiled, that same cold, knowing smile. The kind that used to control me. She crossed the street slowly, as if nothing had ever happened. "Mira," she said softly. "You look tired." I didn't answer. "I miss us," she continued. "You've changed so much." Her voice was calm, but her eyes, they were sharp, calculating. I finally said, "You need to stop." She tilted her head. "Stop what?" "Caring." That word, caring, felt like poison. "You don't care about anyone," I said quietly. "You just hate losing control." Her smile faltered for the first time. She stepped closer. "You think you're stronger now, huh? Let's see how long that lasts." Then she walked away, leaving me in the rain, heart pounding. I didn't know what she meant. Until the next morning. My phone was blowing up. Dozens of messages. Screenshots. Someone had created a fake account. Again. This time, posting private photos of me and twisting them into lies. And everyone believed it. Even people I thought were my friends started to distance themselves. Some didn't even ask if it was true. They just assumed. Because when a toxic person tells a story first, the truth becomes a whisper no one hears. I could have broken down again. But instead, I decided to fight. Not with anger, but with silence and proof. I went to the admin office, filed a complaint, showed every message, every timestamp. The investigation took weeks. Each day felt heavier than the last. But slowly, things began to shift. They found her IP linked to the fake accounts. Her pattern, the same words, same tone, same style. The truth finally started to surface. When she was called in, she denied everything. But something in her confidence had cracked. People began to see her for who she was. Charming on the outside, venom underneath. And just like that, her empire of lies started to crumble. One evening, after it all came out, she sent me one last message. No name, no apology. Just a single line. "You'll never find another friend like me." For a long time, I stared at it. And she was right. I never would. Because friends aren't supposed to break you and call it love. They aren't supposed to control you, or rewrite your story to make themselves look innocent. She wasn't my best friend. She was my mirror, reflecting all the parts of me I had to outgrow. That night, I walked to the sea. The waves were rough, wind cold against my face. I took her letter, that old photo, and let them fall into the water. The paper curled, the ink bled. And for the first time in years, I didn't cry. I felt something better. Freedom. In the weeks that followed, I started painting again. Not for approval. Not for attention. Just for me. I began to reconnect with old friends, the ones she'd pushed away. Some apologized. Some didn't. But it didn't matter. I wasn't looking for closure anymore. One afternoon, I was cleaning my desk when I found something. A small bracelet she'd given me years ago, engraved with the words, "Forever." For a second, I almost smiled. Then I dropped it into the trash. That's the thing about toxic people. They don't end with a dramatic goodbye. They fade away slowly, as you rebuild the version of yourself they tried to destroy. And maybe that's the real revenge. Not anger. Not exposure. Just peace. But just when I thought it was truly over, something unexpected happened. A message appeared in my inbox. From a name I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "I need to warn you." My pulse quickened. I opened it. And there she was, Alicia's face. In a photo. Standing beside another girl. Captioned, "My new best friend Red Heart." The message below said, "I don't know who you are, but everything you warned about, it's happening to me now." My hands went cold. History was repeating itself. I typed a reply, then stopped. Maybe some lessons can only be learned the hard way. I closed the laptop, took a deep breath, and whispered to myself, "She can't hurt me anymore." And for the first time, I believed it. When that message came, it felt like déjà vu. The same words. The same warning. The same pattern. Only this time, I wasn't the victim. I stared at the girl's photo, smiling beside Alicia like I once did. I could almost feel the warmth of that fake friendship through the screen. And suddenly, every memory I'd buried came rushing back. The laughter. The betrayal. The silence. I wanted to reply, to warn her, to save her before she fell too deep. But then I stopped. Because saving someone who isn't ready to see the truth is like shouting into a storm. You lose your voice. So I closed the message. But all night, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed everything, not as pain this time, but as clarity. For the first time, I didn't see Alicia as a monster. I saw her as a broken person who learned to control others before they could leave her. And maybe, that's how she survived her own emptiness. But understanding someone doesn't mean forgiving them. It means freeing yourself from the weight of their story. The next morning, I went for a walk. The sky was soft gray, the kind that smells like rain. Every step felt lighter, like I was finally walking away from the ghost of who I used to be. The version that needed approval. That feared loneliness. That mistook control for love. As I passed a cafe, I saw something that stopped me in my tracks. Inside, Alicia. Sitting alone, no makeup, no laughter, no crowd. She looked tired. Almost fragile. For a second, our eyes met through the glass. Her lips parted. Maybe to smile, maybe to speak. But I didn't go in. I just nodded once, a silent goodbye, and walked away. Because closure doesn't come from conversations. It comes from peace. Days turned into weeks. Life began to rebuild itself quietly. I got accepted for an internship at a small art studio. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt right. The people there were kind, real. They didn't care about who I used to be or what stories were told about me. They cared about my work, my ideas, my presence. For the first time in years, I felt seen, not controlled, not judged. But healing isn't a straight line. Some nights, I'd still wake up hearing her voice. Some days, I'd scroll past old photos and feel a sudden sting. Because even after you leave a toxic person, they leave fingerprints on your heart. Invisible but there. Still, I kept moving. One day at a time. One breath at a time. Then came the exhibition. My mentor suggested I display my newest painting. It was called Freedom Looks Like This. A girl standing in front of a shattered mirror. Her reflection still trapped inside, screaming. But the real girl was smiling. Calm. Unafraid. When people asked what it meant, I simply said, "It's about outgrowing someone you once thought you couldn't live without." The applause felt different this time, not like validation, but understanding. I wasn't performing pain anymore. I was transforming it. That night, as the lights dimmed and the crowd faded, my phone buzzed again. A new message. From her. I hesitated before opening it. One line. "I saw your painting. You made me look evil." For a moment, my chest tightened. Then I typed back. "No. I just painted the truth." And I never heard from her again. Months later, I got another message. This time from that same girl who'd written to me before. She said, "You were right. I didn't believe you, but now I understand. Thank you for letting me find out on my own." I didn't reply. Because some cycles break when you stop feeding them energy. And this time, I didn't need to explain, prove, or warn. I'd already lived the lesson. People think toxic relationships end with anger. But the real ending is quieter. It's the moment you realize their voice no longer echoes in your head. When their approval stops mattering. When you stop waiting for an apology that will never come. That's what freedom sounds like. Silence, but peaceful. Not empty, not lonely. Just calm. I started journaling again, something I'd stopped doing because she once said, "You think too much." Now, I wrote every day. Not about her. About me. My fears. My progress. My peace. Each word felt like a step toward the life she once convinced me I didn't deserve. Sometimes, I still wonder if she ever looks back and realizes what she did. If she feels guilt. Regret. Anything. But then I remember. People like her don't heal by admitting pain. They heal by pretending it never happened. And that's not my responsibility anymore. A year later, I had my first solo exhibition. My parents came. My old friends came back. Quietly, respectfully. And in the middle of the room, surrounded by light, stood my painting, Glass Cage, the same one I made when I was breaking inside. But this time, it wasn't a symbol of pain. It was proof that even broken glass can reflect beauty when light hits it right. After the show, a young woman approached me. She said, "I loved your story. It felt personal." I smiled and said, "It is. For all of us." Because that's what I finally understood. Toxic people don't just teach you how to survive. They teach you who you never want to become. Their betrayal turns into your boundaries. Their cruelty becomes your clarity. And their lies, they become your freedom. So now, when someone asks me about my past, I don't hide it. I say, I once had a best friend who taught me how dangerous love can look when it comes with strings. And then I add, she also taught me that healing is the most beautiful revenge. I still walk by that cafe sometimes. Sometimes, I even think of her. Not with anger, not with sadness, just gratitude. Because if she hadn't broken me, I might have never learned how to rebuild myself. That's the thing about toxic people. They can destroy your world. But they can also awaken the version of you that was too afraid to exist before them. And that version. She's unstoppable.